The world's attention is focused back on New York City tonight on the eve of the 10th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And that's where our Chris Gailus joins us near the site of Ground Zero. Good evening to you, Chris.
Good evening, Robin. Yes, we're right across the street from the new 9/11 memorial at the World Trade Center site, the plaza just below me, and right in front of that, all along West Street, you talk about the heightened state of alert, is a lineup of about 25 police cars, all with their lights flashing, a sign of the increased police presence in New York City and as well in Washington, D.C., since that credible terror threat was unveiled just a few short days ago. So some other signs that things aren't exactly as normal here in New York City. Signs up everywhere about subway closures that will go into effect this evening and last throughout the day tomorrow during the commemoration ceremony at the plaza. The entire perimeter here, several square city blocks around the National 9/11 Memorial, will be closed to vehicular traffic. Anybody who wanders down here will be subject to random bag searches, any backpacks or bags. And there is a strong police and National Guard presence where you see people walking around with automatic weapons in camouflage gear, and it can be a little bit unsettling for people who realize that things are not exactly as normal here in New York City. It can be quite daunting. Now, among the team that is charged with making sure that everybody who comes down here is safe is the Port Authority Police. That's a very separate and distinct entity from the New York Police Department because they basically control the entire World Trade Center plaza. Now, they have the monumental task of sweeping the entire area for explosives, and they have a secret weapon to get the job done, a team with a lot of experience and a nose for sniffing out trouble.
Come on, Max. Come on.
Max is one of the longest-serving police dogs in the country. On the job for more than a decade, he and his handler were called into duty on 9/11 and arrived on scene just after the towers fell.
Set up a command post about 4 blocks north of here on West Street, and we were already given a list of the missing officers. Everything happened. Everybody was doing something, but almost in this, not in a state of disbelief.
They lost 37 officers that day, and he's still haunted by some of the things he witnessed.
In Building 5, there was a daycare center. So walking through that was hard. Thank God it didn't open. But all the desks were there, and everything was covered with gray dust.
The World Trade Center site is still under the command of Port Authority Police. They're responsible for securing the site for Sunday's memorial. Max and Brian, just one of several teams that will sweep every square inch looking for explosives.
We will sweep the complex and Tower 1 and make sure, along with police officers, we will have a K-9 team, and they will do both a visual and a K-9 sweep of the entire property.
If there is anything suspicious, Brian is sure Max will sniff it out.
I still trust Max. I trust my dog, and he still is one of the better dogs we have. But I might be prejudiced in saying that.
I know I feel a little safer knowing that Brian and Max are working behind us into this evening as well, trying to sniff out any trouble. This, of course, is the main focus for commemoration ceremonies, the National Memorial behind us, but of course 9/11 played out that terror in many other locations as well. A moving service today held in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where BC's Sarah McLachlan performed at a national memorial for the heroic passengers and crew of United Flight 93, where it crashed into a field.
All of those guys, we're just average guys, like the rest of us are, that put the uniform on.
And memorials similar to that have been popping up all over the city over the past couple of days, showing the true resilience of New Yorkers and others who visit here. This morning at Battery Park on the southern tip of Lower Manhattan, just a few blocks from here, hundreds of people gathered, joining hands at 8:46 a.m. That's the exact moment the first plane hit the North Tower. The group then observed a moment of silence, paying their respects to all of the nearly 3,000 people who were killed. Now, the neighborhoods that make up Lower Manhattan have gone through incredible changes in the past 10 years. The fear that once existed down here has been replaced by hope and optimism that rises right along with the new World Trade Center behind us. And no one embodies that better than a shopkeeper who's been down here working hard since day one.
This storefront has become a symbol of the character and the soul of the city. Owner Minas Polychronakis has been fixing shoes for 58 years, 25 of those at his original shop in the Twin Towers. That all ended 10 years ago on 9/11.
After September 11, we lost about a month. Over a month was everything shut down here. The only thing you see debris and ashes.
He keeps mementos of that terrible day to remind him. His ID card, his checkbook found in the rubble, and a jar of that dust that covered everything.
How you cannot keep it. It's part of me.
Minas went $400,000 into debt to stay in business. But with the financial district booming, business is picking up. And he's not the only one benefiting. Maggie Kent is a realtor starring in the hit TV show Selling New York.
You've got 11-foot ceilings. You've got these beautiful hardwood floors, this beautiful open plan.
This 2,000 square foot, one-bedroom condo is in a building that was once J.P. Morgan headquarters. Another example of how residential space is replacing commercial real estate downtown.
It has a lot of amenities. I mean, it has a bowling alley. It has a pool. It has a pool room. It has a lounge. It has a kids' playroom. And that's all below us. And so families could come here, and you have a lifestyle to come to.
And few prospective buyers even blink at the $1.75 million price tag. With a population that's grown from 23,000 in 2001 to well over 45,000 today, the demographics are changing. Suits are being replaced by strollers as the ultimate fashion accessory.
It's great because, you know, you're still in the city, you have access to restaurants, you have access to theaters and all sorts of things. And then on the other aspect of it, you can still raise a family in a very safe, quiet, park-like neighborhood.
And I lived here for so many years and I never even enjoyed this. Until I moved down here, I didn't know.
A neighborhood transformed, buffed and shiny in a way that Minas would understand as he waits to reopen his shop when the new World Trade Center is complete.
I choose to stay here because I feel it's my home. And I still feel the same way.
New Yorkers are tough. Minas may be one of the toughest. It was a pleasure to meet him. And some final notes here, Robin, will let you know that Prime Minister Stephen Harper arrived in New York City this morning to take in some of the anniversary ceremonies. Tonight he's meeting privately with relatives of the 24 Canadians who were killed in Washington and here in New York City. And tomorrow he'll attend a public memorial just a couple of blocks from here at the British Memorial Gardens at Hanover Square in Lower Manhattan, and that is to commemorate the British citizens who lost their lives here. Tomorrow on the NewsHour, I want to mention this because it was a fascinating conversation we had with Michael Arad. He is the designer and the architect behind the beautiful and stunning Memorial Plaza. We'll have that for you on the NewsHour tomorrow, and I know you've got more details about the special Global National we'll be broadcasting tomorrow about the memorial on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Back to you.
Chris, thank you so much for bringing us those interesting perspectives tonight from Lower Manhattan. Chris Gailus for us in New York City this evening.